Dear loyal supporters, thank you for returning to my channel. And if you're brand new, this is Medium Rare Poetry, and I am your host and writer of poetry, Filet Mignon. Today's poem was written on April Fool's Day this year, 2023, and it was just after Donald Trump had been invited to report to Alvin Bragg in New York to face charges of fraud. So the poem is written just before he fronted up and is a little bit prescriptive. But anyway, I hope you enjoy Forked in New York.
Forked in New York by Filet Mignon. Observers were excited. 45 had been indicted. He would have to face some legal scrutiny. Alvin Bragg, who should be knighted, said to Trump, "You are invited to the court without your trademark mutiny." So the gingerbread Tangelo turned a dreadful shade of yellow, for he always thought his crimes were clandestine. With exaggerated bellows, he then summoned all his fellows who had once been keen to powder his behind. But his mates had left the building, saw his pleas as merely gilding. Once been bitten, they were wiser and now shy. The saffron-shaded swindler had a list as long as Schindler's of excuses, for he needed time to buy. To complete a rapid export, he made haste towards his airport, for his plane could take him anywhere he chose. But the airliner was missing. Now he really was a pissing. With no means to leave the country, he just froze. It appeared that his first lady, with a penchant to be shady, had since flown the Mar-a-Lago chicken coop. She had taken all the booty. After all, it was her duty to consign her Casanova to the soup. A wooden praying mantis by the name of Ron DeSantis offered 45 a means of getaway. With a bus fresh out of Texas, Trump could make his brilliant flexit, with exotic hot companions, by the way. Relieved he was, our Donald, turned and faced a nervous Ronald, and then blessed him with a Botox-bloated kiss. Then he boarded that old greyhound, which he didn't know was northbound, thinking freedom was the greater form of bliss. Well, it didn't take a minute till he knew he'd been dumped in it, for the bus was Ronnie's immigration stunt. It was teeming with amigos who detested fat white gringos, and their attitude to Trump was fairly blunt. All the way to the Big Apple, there was one almighty grapple. He was tortured with the famous cockroach song. Endless rounds of cucaracha, like a non-stop water blaster, left him wondering how this could go so wrong. 30 hours of close confinement meant he'd lost his fake refinement, and it seemed his downward spiral had no end. His brain was going hyper, well, at least he wore his diaper, and on this he always knew he could depend. Bundled out at New York City, where the streets are wild and gritty, a dishevelled former president was dumped. With Miranda rights attested, 45 was thus arrested, the definitive disgrace of Donald Trump. His dainty hands were printed, and the flashbulb saw him squinted. My, this studio is not like Fox and Friends. The consequential mugshot made his beady eyeballs bugshot, and was beamed out to the planet's furthest end. The carrot-coloured cockroach, after hours in that stagecoach, was paraded into court to face the judge. With his overflowing nappy, Donald Trump was far from happy, and his patent leather boots were full of sludge. 34, the counts recited, left the audience delighted. Then the judge asked how the plaintiff was to plead. "I'm a guilty man, Your Honour, and I know that I'm a goner. Those amigos prove my life was common greed." The bedraggled lump of pork had been well and truly forked. Yes, the rule of law had patiently prevailed. In the fraudster category, the result was mandatory that the Lion King was sentenced to be jailed. Terrified in Rikers Island, in a cell akin to Thailand, sang soprano in the Jan 6 prison choir. The bewildered, guilty forger sang "A Raining Night in Georgia," so predictive of his future in the mire. And what of his supporters? They were all confined to quarters. They had quit the perils of the treason scene. With feverish conniptions, they all cancelled their subscriptions to the propaganda of his magazine.
Well, of course, Donald didn't go to jail, and his mugshot was not published and sent around the world. However, as this video goes to air, he has been indicted in the Fulton County Jail in Georgia, and his mugshot was released, and Donald grabbed it and used it to raise money, $7.1 million at this point, on t-shirts and mugs. And it turns out that this mugshot is the property of the Fulton County Sheriff's Department, and Donald does not have permission to use it, especially to raise money. So that could be another court case coming. Anyway, that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed the poem. If you did, please subscribe to the channel. If you didn't, please subscribe to the channel. And press the like button, the little thumbs up, and share it with your friends, and we can grow the channel. That's it for today, and have a wonderful, wonderful day, and I will look forward to seeing you next time. Bye-bye for now.